If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.
The following podcast may contain discussions supported by science that may be considered dangerous to some listeners and conspiracy theorists. Discretion is advised.
The 3 Down Greencast is brought to you by Lucky Bastard Distillers, Saskatchewan's premier distillery, and by the Pile of Bones Brewing Company, brewed in the heart of Regina.
Welcome to the 3 Down Greencast. You are listening to the internet's only the next generation of the Fraser Curse podcast. I am Joel Gasson with John Fraser. As usual, lots to get to, as the Saskatchewan Roughriders, of course, won the West Final on Saturday evening, beating the BC Lions, and it was never in doubt.
No,
never
clearly.
In doubt.
Never a minute. It was cruise control through the whole game. That
never
was
did
definitely...
any of us thought that they were at any point going to lose that football game.
I think if you go back through our text through that, there's at least 4 separate instances in which one of us is texting the other, be like, yeah, this thing's done now. Like, oh no, it's definitely done now. No, it's done now.
Yeah. So, yes, we will talk about how the Riders found a way to win the West Final. Some decisions in that game, and of course we'll talk about the drive from Trevor Harris, and we're going to look ahead to something called the Grey Cup this week. Forgive us if we're not that familiar with this. This is the first time in the history of this podcast that we are doing this episode the week of the Riders actually playing in the Grey Cup. We're used to them at best succeeding at the point of getting to the West Final, and that's more or less it. So
this is usually our most hated on episode of the year, because normally post-West Final is me just glazing my Bombers for 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So now,
couple of years,
yeah, that's fair. I mean, so during most of this podcast's existence, this is the episode that I'm sure at least 6 of the 7 of you have tuned out and gone, I don't want to hear Fraser wax poetic about his Blue Bombers heading into the Grey Cup game. But no, my friends.
To be fair, I don't think you did last year, because you weren't that high on them last year.
Oh,
like,
no,
you
I
were
was
happy they won, obviously, and you were excited, and you thought they had a chance to win the Grey Cup still, but you were far more realistic about last year than I think you were any of the other Grey Cup attempts.
That's fair. I think I saw what was coming, and that was not a ruse by the Fraser Curse. That was like genuine belief that they weren't that good.
Mm-hmm. But we do have an update on the Fraser Curse, and perhaps we should get Graham to make us another bumper for that.
Yes.
You have a story to tell, because it is not you. It is partially you, because you talked about last week on the pod how the BC Lions were going to win the West Final, but you were very open about the fact that you were trying to Fraser Curse the Riders.
Of course.
But there has been an update to the Fraser Curse, and we've mentioned this before, that it could be hereditary, and I think there are further signs that that is in fact the case.
We now in fact have definitive proof. So let me set the stage. Corey Mace has just kicked a chicken shit field goal. And I have texted you, this game is definitely over. So Max decides. So you got to think, BC's about to get the ball back after a terrible field goal decision. I will still die on that hill right now if you question me about it.
We will get into that, don't worry. We'll get into it.
Of course. Also, thank you, Grandpa Ted, Grandpa Ted texted, said thank you for using the Fraser Curse. That is a powerful ally for us. Little did Grandpa Ted know, it was not my Fraser Curse that put things over the top. So set the scene. BC's gotten the ball back. And so we're at my mother and father-in-law's. Lacey's cheering for the Riders. They're cheering for the Riders. All of my kids except Maya, weirdly, are cheering for the Riders. So Max goes, no, I want BC to win. And so immediately the family kind of goes like, what are you talking about, Max? Max goes, no, I'm trying to jinx them. And I'm like, wait, whoa, Max,
you're
Max,
like, whoa,
you're Fraser.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Let it cook.
And that's right. I'm like, yes, let the man cook, but don't let him cook too much, because I turn to Connor and I'm like, Connor, you have the most power of the Fraser curse. I need you to say that BC's going to win. As this exchange is going on, BC goes 2-0 the first time. Connor finally doesn't say, I think BC's going to win, until Saskatchewan is punting the ball on their second to last possession of the football game. Well, we all know what happens next. BC 2-0, Saskatchewan the drive.
Thanks, Buck Bears.
That's right. Also that. But all of that came into effect not because of my Fraser curse, for my Fraser curse would have been a no-doubt playoff win in which you never once thought that this team was going to lose this game. No. It wasn't until Connor activated his curse powers with 4 drives to go in the fourth quarter that the Riders did in fact pull off the improbable. And coming into that game with Trevor Harris's playoff record and playoff performances, I would damn near say the impossible. In fact, that's may have been what I said to you even once they got the ball back. There's no way they're winning this thing.
Yeah.
But instead,
I would have to go back and look, but it seems probable. Yeah.
The just turned 7-year-old declares the BC Lions are going to win. And in turn, the Saskatchewan Roughriders win. So it is not just the powers of my Fraser curse. No. It is the enhanced power of the hereditary Fraser curse from one Mr. Just Turned 7, Connor Alex Fraser.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
There's no arguing it.
There's indisputable proof at this point, right?
Right.
The proof is a proof, and once you've proven it, it's been proven, right? Like,
right.
We've heard that. Like, that's what the great John Chrétien said, right? So...
in all the years of
I think I butchered the actual quote, but y'all know the one I'm talking about.
I know the one you're talking about, and I think that is the first Jean Chrétien reference, as I will try to also work in a Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald reference, because that completely took over my Instagram feed, which is not really a bad thing. 50 years ago, those souls lost Lake Superior. Look it up.
It's pretty hard not to these days.
I mean, in fairness,
I never even looked at any of it. It still ended up in my feed somehow, so I don't know.
Because I kept sending it to you, and I'm like, dude, this is actually historical humor, and it's quite funny.
2 things we've learned about the Instagram algorithm in the last week. Yeah, Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald will take over your feed, and apparently bowling content can take over your feed as well. Like, between you and Dan Plaster, I've sent a few bowling things, and he sent a few to me as well. And both of us are like, our feed is just like full of like all these bowling content all of a sudden. Like, apparently the bowling algorithm is very aggressive, which is not very bowling like, quite frankly. Meanwhile, I watch how much curling stuff do I send you? And I've started following Joy and Courtney, and I'm watching all this curling stuff. It's not giving more curling stuff. No, it's bowling.
But I think, though, because we've probably maxed out the amount of curling content you can watch.
Maybe.
Like, I mean,
it's basically the Grand Slam of curling, and then degen curling, and...
Oh, there's some other ones that are pretty good, too. There are some other ones that make me look at that and go, yeah, that's me. I am a degenerate and a curler.
Okay. But still, there's not that much more. Apparently, there are endless and countless number of bowling accounts on Instagram, which I had no idea. Because for the longest time, we've all been kind of sending like weird sports to each other.
Oh, 100%.
And then all of a sudden, like I saw this like really weird like bowling thing, and then they just have kind of kept popping up. And I don't know. We just get caught down weird rabbit holes on Instagram, just sending each other reels about weird sports and weird stuff that happened in sports. I don't know. We're just old, and this is what we do now, I guess.
It's how friendships are extended, I think, these days. And in some cases, relationships. It's just good reel after good reel after good reel. In fact, I spent a good chunk of I was in Calgary over the weekend visiting my family, and my sister showed Max a Instagram account called Foods I Cannot Read, where he goes into different grocery stores and picks up a food he cannot read and taste tests it, to the point that Max took his auntie to the international supermarket close to their house and came back with a bunch of food I cannot read. I got the joy of...
I would totally
super,
be down for that.
Oh, it was super fun. He got like, he ended up getting, like, and then you translate it afterwards. Like, you look at it, you buy it, and he got steak chips, and for me, he got miso herring, which was shockingly good.
Really?
It was.
Miso is very good, but herring is a very strong flavor.
They thought it was going to be so funny. It was in a can, and I open up the can, and I'm like, I've enjoyed some pickled herring in my day, and I go to try it, and like my sister and Max are sitting there like giggling, like, oh my god, this is going to be so bad. I'm like, actually, this is really good. To the point, I even started having big bites, and then like taking some, putting it on a cracker, like a Ritz cracker, with a little dab of hot sauce. Oh, it was heaven. It was great.
You're like, joke's on you. I've had Malort.
Joke's on you. I've had a mayo nog. At least Malort I will occasionally still sip. A mayo nog, I'm never fucking touching that shit again.
How many years ago was that now, and we still bring up the mayo nog?
Oh, it was not long enough ago.
With that in mind, we are about a month away, I guess, from Ask John Anything Holiday Edition. So,
oh, no.
So get your weird cocktail recipes ready, because John will try them.
Yes, I will. And remember, I still have Malort in my cupboard.
Oh.
Why did I say that?
Malort mayo nog with Malort.
Gasson, listen, my family's been sick the last 2 days. You can't do that to me right now. There's a delicate balance of cheeseburgers and alcohol, even to the point that, so kids get the stomach flu Monday in Calgary. And I look at my sister and I go, hey, where's your vodka? She goes, why? I'm like, for the stomach flu. She thought I was about to give it to Connor. I'm like, no. For me, you drink it and it kills the virus in your stomach, which is why I can do this here podcast and not be pooping or puking myself.
It's still early.
That's fair.
At least on the pooping part, it's still early. You have left for bathroom breaks in the middle of the episodes before, and one of these times I'm just going to keep it going. We'll just kind of talk. We'll tell a story, see what happens.
You just have Dan Plaster or Greg McCullough on standby. If there's ever one that I'm coming off a flu like I did at the one men's bond spiel, maybe have Plaster McCullough. Although McCullough is not busy, is a little busy this week, as the can we call them the sickos at Piffles are doing an episode every night this week.
Yeah.
Wow,
it's dedication. I don't know how to have the desire to do that much work.
I think by the end of it, because I don't know why.
Like, if I didn't have a day job, sure, maybe we could. I don't know what we'd talk about for a week, but
if I didn't have a day job, I think I'd be at Grey Cup with you, and then I'd be in the bathroom.
Not there yet. By the time you're listening to this, I am on the road to Winnipeg. This, by the way,
that's fair. See, that's why I was talking like it was the present, right? Nobody knows it's like 8:26 on a Wednesday night. To them, they're probably listening to this, especially like Dave.
Well, except for like
Grandpa
Jock
Ted.
and Dave, I'm still sitting on my chair. Like, I'll still be editing it, and he will somehow have listened to it already. So
that's fair. That's
Dave
fair.
at least, yes.
Dave certainly. Grandpa Ted's up there too. So give 3 of those 7 credit. No. They're all consuming good content, like what the Piffles boys are doing this week.
Mm-hmm. The Riders obviously provided some good content for their fans as they're headed to the 112th Grey Cup to take on the Montreal Alouettes. We will get into that, and we will talk about the West Final as well. But before that, John, as always, for the Pile of Bones Brewing Company, what is in the glass this week?
A bit of a not super rotational one, but despite the fact that 2 of my favorite beers go on sale tomorrow, another one of my sneaky favorites on a super sale tonight, that being the Paddockwood Saskatchewan West Coast IPA. Me, I love a good West Coast IPA, and strictly only because the flu is still very much in my house, drinking clear alcohol basically straight with some Lucky Bastard Gambit Gin, and Bryce, our guy from Lucky Bastard, he knew I'd had a week, so he gave me a big bottle. But now I'm spoiled. Now I want a big bottle every week.
No chance you would have ever had a glass of gin or vodka otherwise.
In fairness, the week I've had, the little stretch I've had, it's been a busy one at work. I'm not going to lie. There's a chance that a 2-6 might not have survived until tonight.
That's what I mean. I was not being serious.
No. Okay, that's good.
You should know that by now. Come on.
That's fair.
For me, I have the previously award-winning, the From Rebellion Brewing Company, their Amber Ale.
Yes,
just kind of nice, roasty, toasty, but still on the light side, and now has a cool fox on the label.
What does the fox say? Bing, 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 bing.
I believe the fox says that the Saskatchewan Roughriders are going to the Grey Cup.
Oh!
as it is now 2009-2010 all over again, as the Saskatchewan Roughriders will play the Montreal Alouettes in the 112th Grey Cup after both teams won their respective division finals in last-second dramatic fashion. And you can't ask much for more than that over the course of the division playoff weekend. Two, I'm not going to say necessarily great legendary games that we'll be talking about forever, but certainly two very legendary and memorable finishes to games, which at the very least is what you want out of a very good and important football game. So we were able to see that on the weekend, which is great. Of course, Montreal, Altos Diaz with the game-winning field goal at the expiration of the clock.
Always trust the Mexican kicker.
Absolutely. Apparently, Montreal Carabin, their quarterback, is also from Mexico. Well, he's born in Mexico, moved to Quebec when he was like 5 or something. But
wow.
Yeah, lots of love in Mexico for Quebec football right now, which is pretty wild. And we'll actually, before we get into that, we should mention that the Saskatchewan Huskies, of course, they won the Hardy Cup. They're heading back to the national semifinals for the U Sports, where they'll take on the Queens Gales, surprisingly out of nowhere, as they upset Laurier. So
which was hilarious, because I was texting you and I'm like, hey, we were wrong.
Yeah.
Because as we often do, we're talking U Sports football during the week. I'm like, hey, great news, we were wrong. They don't play the Rescue. And you're like, yeah, but they're going to play Laurier and they might just be as good. I'm like, nope. That's Queens. By God, that is Queens' music. Mm-hmm. And so you're saying there's a chance.
Cup could be saved yet with an appearance by the Saskatchewan Huskies, which seems very probable. Also listening to the 3 Down Nation podcast this week, I believe it was Justin Dunk who had the stat that no Ontario team has come west and won the national semifinal since Queens did it like 40 years ago or something weird.
Holy
50
crap.
years ago. Like, it's been forever since an Ontario team came west for the national semifinal and won. So it's not going to say that the Huskies are guaranteed to win, but there's actually a chance now that this Vanier Cup, in terms of like a fan atmosphere and all that sort of stuff, could be saved. It's always a great game. So
yes, I think, though, our good friends, Climate Change, if you will, might have something to say, as this will be a very Southern Ontario playoff game feel, expected to be around 3 to 4 degrees with sun for the 2 o'clock kickoff at Griffith Stadium. Come buy a vehicle from me and then go to the game. And then just bring me with you.
It is still a long trek for the Western teams, for the Eastern teams out West, I mean. So
100%.
When they're like, Canada West teams are used to traveling around between BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba. The Ontario teams can all bust to each other, right? So
yeah, and you're basically back home in your bed the next night, right? Like, it's not like you're going into somebody else's environment, stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting. And of course, Saskatoon Hilltops winning the 24th national championship, beating up on the Okanagan Sun. The second you saw snow in Saskatoon, you knew that game was over.
Yes.
BCFC teams, we're talking about Ontario traveling out west. BCFC teams do not do well when they have to travel out east at all, especially when there's any kind of cold or snow.
They did beat the Thunder here in the Canadian Bowl once. It was pretty cold that day.
Yeah, but that's fair. But that's more just another Thunder choke job than Okanagan being good.
Fair enough.
Oh! I mean, I was unceremoniously dumped by the Hilltops. I don't know why I'm hating on the Thunder.
I don't know why either. The Riders almost had a pretty bad choke job on Saturday afternoon, evening at Mosaic Stadium, as of course they won the West Final, but it was not a pretty game.
No.
It was like 7-4 at the half. Neither team did a heck of a whole lot to open the game. Probably the Lions should have been up, but of course Sean White missed a field goal in November outside. Surprise.
Never happens.
And yeah, Trevor Harris had like one good throw in that half. Then they had a decent drive to open the second half, but there just was not a lot there. But to their credit, I mean, they hung around, they fought, they battled, they were able to keep it close, and the BC Lions shot themselves in the foot a lot. I can't even count how many drop balls they had in that game when they easily could have run away with it. But I mean, hey, as we've talked about, we love to talk about process over results, but I mean, when it comes to the West Final, it's results overall, and the Riders found a way to get the results in that football game.
And it was just ugly on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
like the fact that you had a 1-0 game into the second quarter on a pretty decent weather night in Regina.
It was cold.
You,
there's no doubt it was cold, but yeah.
Right, but I mean, cold is one. It's not like it was snowy, slippery, anything like that. It's not like it was one of those games that the aerial attack was completely taken away.
No.
Tons of drops by the BC Lions. Like you said, Trevor Harris looked like playoff Trevor Harris, which I think is something that
it was like a combination of playoff Trevor Harris and coming off of bye week Riders, and it was not pretty.
No, it was some ugly ass football, and it's kind of what we were worried about with them getting the first round bye.
Yeah. They were lucky that the Lions had all those drops early, and that Nathan Rourke didn't find his rhythm a bit until into the second half when they found their footing a little bit.
Oh, well, and that BC offense has such the capability to just go Death Star on you. I also think that goofy ass, almost carbon copy interception might have been the game saver too. You perfectly. When that moment happened, I don't know if I texted it to you or I just like said it out loud to myself, been like, "Yep, there's the dumb."
Yep.
For that game, like it felt like one of those games that the Riders just did enough, especially defensively, to just keep hanging around.
Yeah, and I still wouldn't say they played well defensively. I know not many teams have kept the Lions below 30 points this year, but I mean, some of the second and longs they gave up in that game. The bust on the Keon Hatcher touchdown, like it was just like, oof.
Yeah.
Like there was some moments in that game that just left you scratching your head in terms of what was going on with this defense as well. So, I mean, other than AJ Ouellette, and even he had a bit of a brain fart when he unnecessarily tried to hurdle around 5 guys.
Well, after he had the first down yardage.
Yeah, well, the first one was 1-on-1. The second one, he comes out and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to jump again." It's like, AJ, there's like 4 guys around you on top of the guy you're jumping over. Not a good idea.
No.
But to his credit, he had a great game. He was unsurprisingly, once again, their best player. He should have been used a lot more in the first half, just to wear down BC and make them not want to play the second half of that game as it just got colder and colder. But
and what did I say? Did I say 15 or 20 carries for AJ and they'll win?
I don't remember.
I don't remember. Coming in at 17, that was the formula to success, especially in a night that it was abundantly clear Trevor Harris did not have it like until literally that last drive.
Yeah.
Like he had the 2 touchdown passes, but it
was it was in a lot of ways it's been typical of Trevor Harris the last month and a half. If you just look at the stat line, you're like, oh, he had a pretty good day. He was, 21 of 26 or whatever it was for 305 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like that's a pretty good day at the office for a quarterback. But yeah, if you actually, when you watch the game and you see the eye test, and it just none of it really added up to a game of where a quarterback looked that good. But hey, like in curling, like sometimes it's not about the number of shots you make, it's when you make them. And the door remained open at the end despite an interesting decision from Corey Mace, which we will get into in a second. But there is no doubt that final drive, that 74-yard drive or whatever it was, to win the football game at the end was massive for Trevor Harris. Not only because, yes, obviously you want to win and get to the Grey Cup and do all that sort of thing. He hadn't really had that moment in a playoff game for himself where he's just said, okay, we're going to go win this game. And yeah, he got a lot of help from his receivers, but that's just the kind of play that Trevor Harris is going to have to do. He's not going to run all the way down the field like Nathan Rourke can or like Darian Durant could or anything like that. It's going to require some help from other guys, but he did it. And because of that, the Riders are going to the Grey Cup, and Trevor Harris has an opportunity now, because he's been to a Grey Cup with Ottawa as their starting quarterback. It did not go well, but he has an opportunity now to sort of change the narrative around his career a little bit. And it all started with what was probably, and I don't mean without hyperbole, the biggest drive of his career.
No, certainly. I think that drive changes the narrative of his entire career. Even if he goes out and loses this Grey Cup game. Yeah. This is a guy that coming into it, and I don't think any of us really looked into it or discussed this. It didn't seem to even really be a talking point across our entire website, across, most of Saskatchewan media, that Trevor Harris was only 4-5 as a playoff starter.
Yeah.
And has looked decidedly average in a lot of those games, especially ones coming off of a bye week, because this is not an old age thing. This is a Trevor Harris thing. So he basically flipped the script, and I would even say getting his team all the way down to the goal line, the scoring drive before that, started to maybe put some faith in you that, okay, Trevor Harris can lead this offense in a big moment, because it looked like that big moment was going to be a game-tying touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And then Corey Mace, inexplicably, and again, the context of this, Mace went for it and scored on 3rd and goal earlier in the game.
Yep. They apparently like that play that they ran, Keon Schaefer-Baker over the middle, like that was, they practiced it all week. This was their go-to play in that moment. And it was it was right there for them again if they wanted to. And to his credit, Corey Mace did say after the game, like, he really thought about going. He really thought about going for it. But yeah, that field goal, there haven't been too many moments, especially in the Corey Mace era, where I literally was banging my head on the desk in the press box. That was one of those moments. And you could feel, not only in the press box, but around the stadium, what the heck is going on at that moment in time. Because you made a one possession. Everyone knows you made a one possession game, and I talked about it on my piece after the game. And yes, I know they won the game because of those 3 points, but man, that was risky as hell because
100%.
You are giving Nathan Rourke, the unquestioned best player in this league, the ball back with a chance to just end it without you even having attempted to try to tie the game at the very least, and
giving him the ball at the 40-yard line.
It was below the 40. He was in the 30s somewhere. The only saving grace of that sort of moment is you do have to kick off in the final 3 minutes.
Yes.
So it was guaranteed 40.
It was, I pulled it up, the play-by-play, it was the 36.
Yeah. So they
after
almost got there, but yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like and especially now more and more, even though you have to kick off when you're under 3 minutes, more and more, your defense at that point had played well enough to win you the football game. As you and I had said, there were some busted coverages. There wasn't, they weren't as good as they've been all year.
Yeah.
But they weren't bad.
If you really want to go for it, you go for it. Even if you don't get it, okay, Nathan Rourke's at the 5-yard line, whatever it was.
Yeah, literally the 5. Yes.
You get the 2 and out, then you start in great field goal rate. You start in good position with the ball, probably midfieldish. Right. And then you have another chance to score a touchdown. Then if you really want to be ballsy, you can go for 2 in the win right there.
Exactly. Or if you want to just take it overtime, go take it overtime. So it was just, I hated the call.
I told him, like, I know, and like I said to these, like, and we've talked about this so many times on here before. Sometimes bad decisions work out and good decisions don't. And this was clearly a scenario where a bad decision worked out. I know there was also some heat on the punt after they got the ball back. I didn't feel as bad about that as I did the field goal. I felt they were too deep in their territory at that point to just basically put the BC Lions in field goal range if they don't get it. I understand. I wouldn't have hated if Corey Mace win for it, of course. But I didn't hate the punt as much as I did the field goal.
Well, and you're punting from your own 36. And even though Sean White has had his struggles outdoor in the postseason through his career,
that's basically where he needs to be to hit that field goal.
You're giving him a 43-yard field goal if you don't get it there.
Yep.
Plus, they had both their timeouts.
Yep.
Right? Like,
well, you can only use one in the final 3 minutes, but yeah.
Yes. But you had Mirko, who's got a leg. You had the ability, and that was the ultimate, okay, I'm going to trust my defense. I'm going to put the ball back into BC's hands.
And I think in the back of your mind, that Buck Pierce is going to be very conservative.
Yes, 100%.
And that's the other part. Like, as Corey Mace's decisions were bad, they worked out. Buck Pierce's decisions were bad and they did not work out. I know some people, I know the execution on the draw call on 2nd down wasn't great. And obviously, if he converts it, it doesn't matter. But you have the best player and the best quarterback in the league, and you can't trust him to throw the 4 yards or whatever it is he needed.
Right.
Like, throw the football, pick up the 1st down, and end the game.
Or scramble the 4 yards, because Nathan Rourke is sneaky good at scrambling.
You had to know that the Riders were going to sell out at every possibility on someone running that football. Because that's probably what Buck Pierce is going to do. But Buck Pierce is not very good at breaking tendencies.
No. And he could have. That could have been
Could have been a huge tendency-breaking moment that could have sent, that frankly should have sent the BC Lions to the Grey Cup.
Could have been his Chris Streveler actually throwing the ball moment.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's just, it was not a great 2 minutes of coaching, but it set up...
No.
It set up what, again, a legacy-defining drive for Trevor Harris.
Mm-hmm. He did.
He's no longer Dan Marino. right? A guy who was really
he
good.
still needs the title. He still needs the title not to be Dan Marino. But yeah.
That's fair. But I mean, no, Dan Marino never won a title.
No, that's what I said. That's to not be Dan Marino. He needs the title.
Oh, yes, 100%, right. But I mean, he was one of those guys that so many times before you'd seen him choke in a playoff game to finally like put it all together and he just knew what he needed to do. It was just short pass. He had the time. He took over with a minute 3 left,
which
and
is
it was
a
just
product of the clock. But anyway,
yeah, exactly. That
and I mean, it was also a product of BC's defensive coaching, and JC Abbott did a great job on the site breaking it down, where they were too passive in terms of giving up the bomb. They were too scared to give up a long play. So Trevor Harris is just like, okay, 20 yards, touchdown.
And
instead, if you play more aggressive, you give up the bomb right away, you get the ball back, and you have Nathan Rourke has a chance to win. Or at least send it to overtime.
Exactly. And at this point in his career and throughout this entire game, Trevor Harris had not completed anything deep.
Yep.
Trevor Harris, to me, if I'm selling out for Trevor Harris looking something short on his first two reads.
I'm not just saying like, okay, we're going to blitz on every play. Like rush for play a fairly tight zone or fairly tight man-to-man. You know, like don't allow the intermediate. If you get beat, you get beat. At least you get the ball back. You know?
Yeah, well, that's exactly. And a chance to win the football game. It's almost like the old argument of sometimes, you know, especially near the goal line in some of these situations, I'm floored that teams occasionally don't just let the other team score.
Yeah, well, the funny situations is when defenses are trying to let teams score and the team's trying to score is like, no.
No, we'll take the knee at the one, right?
Yeah.
It's chess, really. Like, that's what makes football so chaotic and great. But the same thing. It's just short pass. But the calmness in which Trevor Harris did it. That
is clearly the scenario where, you know, where we talked a lot about Trevor not getting too up, not getting too down about anything. Mm-hmm. That is where something like that finally paid off. And I think Trevor knew he needed it as well, because all through the week you heard a different tone from Trevor Harris, where he was talking about they're the big dogs, and he was talking like in a way that he knew he had to be the leader of this team, and he had to finally, for himself as well, and I think he's even talked about it a bit in terms of his own legacy, understanding this moment, especially as at the age of 39 going on 40, really potentially his last shot at this. Like,
right.
If he doesn't get it this year, he may never get it. So he's got to go all in, and he's really got to make sure that, okay, I got to lead this team to victory. I got to cement my legacy, or else what am I when all is said and done?
Well, and especially when they came out today right on our website, and Jeremy O'Day has told three down.
Bring this up. It's interesting that, they have not had any contract negotiations as of yet.
At all for next year, right?
It's not to say they won't, but, and this will be more of a conversation for starting next week. Side note, both John and I are planning to record sometime after the Grey Cup, which we will specifically talk about that game. So we will have that up Sunday night sometime. And then, sometime a few days, a week after that, we will have our regularly sort of normal podcast where we will talk more probably about where this team goes going forward, because there is an interesting conversation to be had about Trevor Harris starting next year, because the Riders are kind of in a Bomber-esque spot of the last year where, okay, they are 2 years, they are a season, they're 2 seasons away from hosting the Grey Cup. Like basically 2 years from now, they'll be hosting the Grey Cup.
Yes.
Trevor Harris will be like 42 by then. Is he still playing football? So is it really prudent to bring him back next year unless there is like a guaranteed sort of, this is our guy that's taking over for him the year after? So, I don't think it's strange that they haven't really talked to Trevor yet, because I think there are legitimate questions, not necessarily for scale reasons, but just age and the future reasons as to why they haven't talked contract yet.
I think if they win, you have to bring him back.
I think if they win, he should just retire.
Agreed.
Best case scenario for this team is obviously they win the Grey Cup and Trevor Harris just goes out on top.
Exactly. Then they go out and get a guy like a bit of a rebuild project, like maybe an Arbuckle, maybe a Drew Brown, somebody like that can come here and have success, right? I think it is going to be interesting. Or to me, this contract, this offseason, you got to talk to Trevor Harris and be like, listen, you're just staying here for 2 years, or we're letting you go. And then he's probably going to be your guy in some capacity, even maybe as a backup quarterback that can come off the bench. when the Grey Cup is here in Regina, because that to me, it always changes everything. You want to try to be that team that wins the Grey Cup at home. Now, you don't want to go full sellout mode like they did in 2013 and set the team back a decade, but that conversation has to be had. But again, it's them in Montreal.
Yep.
And the question is, Joel, who wins?
I've been going back and forth on this a lot. I think if they were playing the Hamilton Ticats, it would be very easy for me to pick the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
100%.
I think the Riders have a very good chance of winning this football game.
Especially with Alexander's hammy being a little...
It's all really going to depend on just how messed up Davis Alexander's hamstring is. He re-aggravated that injury to some degree in the Eastern Final. And as we all know, he makes that team go round like that. When he's out there, that team is just a completely different team. A very good team. One of the best teams
he has never lost in his CFL career.
No.
And that's as a starter. He's not lost. And this is a team that ended up with 8 losses this year, right? That's how much this guy means to that team. And you're right. They are completely... You saw it against Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Right? I judged Montreal on being Davis Alexander less the entire season and said right here, Winnipeg might have a puncher's chance going to Montreal. And then Davis Alexander shows up fully healthy and basically goes, no, the football gods cannot will you to this one.
No.
So you're right. The fact it's an outdoor game bodes well.
I mean, he plays outdoors too, and it gets it gets cold in Montreal. It's a different cold, but it still gets cold. So.
It's like you're right. It is that deep, humid cold. I mean, they do play a lot of afternoon games in Montreal, right? So I mean the fact that the game is in a cold weather venue rather than say being in BC. Like if this is BC, that man has nothing. His leg is made of half Tiger Balm and icy hot, and he doesn't feel anything. No matter how much pain meds you put on something, when it's cold and something hurts, it's gonna hurt, right?
Yeah.
I think Montreal can make brain farts. Their defense can lapse. You saw it against Winnipeg. You saw the fact that. Hamilton just kind of hung around the entire game as well against them, right? So,
I mean, I think Hamilton was better than I gave him credit for.
Agreed.
When push came to shove, and like in those playoff games, you really can't count out anyone. Because, one game scenario, anything can happen, and both teams are going to fight and claw and scratch and do whatever. I mean, we know how not actually good the Winnipeg Blue Bombers were, and they almost beat Montreal, right? So.
Yes. This was a year of them being over the hill, and they almost pulled it out. So, to me, and this is so dumb and it's so cliche, but I don't think of a way around it. How does this not come down to Trevor Harris?
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if Davis Alexander's nicked,
I mean, I will take a 75% one-legged Davis Alexander over 100% MBT. So that's accurate. But would you take that same 75% Davis Alexander over 100% Trevor Harris? It's a good question. I don't know.
And that to me lies the answer to this Grey Cup game, right? I think Mace and co are going to be reluctant, as they have been all year, to just give AJ the rock.
Yeah, and they haven't just leaned on him all year, so they're not going to. So I mean, maybe they will. I don't know, but I can't see them suddenly saying, "Oh yeah, we should actually use our best player to his full capacity all game."
Right, which is mind-boggling to me. Again, I'm barely good at NCAA football, so I'm not a head coach, nor do I aspire to ever be one. But it just seems to me like you would give your best guy the ball, especially the way he looked last week compared to Trevor Harris. I think the defenses are basically a wash.
Yeah,
I'm always taking a Mexican kicker in the clutch.
I mean, there's no doubt they have the kicking advantage. Like Matos Diaz. At least the second best kicker in the league this year, depending on what you think of your Liam Hairolahu had.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, I don't know. I mean, I'll make my official pick here in a moment, but I think it looks good if you're an Alouettes fan.
Yeah, I would agree. I've been leaning Montreal. And if Davis Alexander was healthy, I would have been full in Montreal.
Yes.
Just because I think they've been so good for so long with him in there that there's just something about this team when you see them play and they just look They just look like a championship team when he's playing. The Riders, even at their peak, never really, like, they've been good. They've been relatively consistent all year. They are probably the deepest, sort of really good team in the league this year, but Montreal just sort of has that extra it that you can't quite place your finger on that the Saskatchewan Roughriders haven't had most of the season.
And they're still riding high off of Cody Fajardo's. Even though Cody's not there, they're still riding high off of that speech in last year's Grey Cup. So, yeah.
2 years ago, but yes.
2 years. Yeah. Oh, right. Yes, last year was Toronto.
Although those bummer losses kind of blur together, so...
I hate to admit, but they actually kind of do. I think it's Montreal, right? And I'm saying that because I hope for our 7 listeners and the people of this province and so many people I know and I love that would really like to see a Rider win, especially those people that are also Blue Jays fans that had their hearts crushed in Game 7 by the greatest pitching performance ever known to World Series or baseball history. I hope they win. I would love it for this province to win. I'd love it for my friends to see them win, but I don't see how it's done. And if Connor wasn't puking all day and wasn't feeling sick again, I'd have him come down here to pick Montreal just to make sure the Riders won.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.